And when I was 23 years old, my parents took me to do Umrah in Saudi Arabia. And all the time, my parents explained to me, you know, as a Muslim, it's your responsibility to go to see Allah's house at least once in your lifetime. So as your parents, it's our responsibility to make sure that you stay on the right path. At this time, I wasn't living at home. I'd moved out of home. I'd been to university. I was working. I was living an independent life, and I was very Western. And my parents were concerned that I was being too Western. My lifestyle was too Western, and they wanted to bring me back into the faith. So they said, "We're going to take you to Mecca." I trusted my parents. I love my parents. I trust my parents, and I didn't think that they would do anything dangerous to me. So I went to Mecca with my parents. I was age 23, and my mum said to me beforehand, the first time you see Mecca, you see Kaaba with your eyes, you will have an experience with God. And so we arrived at the airport in Saudi Arabia, and we went with another family. We were driving from the airport to Mecca. And on the way to Mecca, on that big road, you can see in a distance, you can see the Kaaba in the distance. And the truth is, the first time I saw Kaaba, I actually did have an experience with God. I really did. The first time I saw the Kaaba, and I was sitting in the taxi with my mum and dad and other family members, I heard a voice. I heard a voice, and nobody else in the taxi could hear that voice. Only I heard it. And the voice said to me, it was into my mind. It was loud. And the voice said, I am Alpha. I am Omega. I am the beginning. I am the end. I am Alpha. I am Omega. I am the beginning. I am the end. I am Alpha. I said it over and over and over again. And age 23.
Were you expecting a supernatural encounter?
No, not at all. I mean, number one, I'm not religious. Number two, my parents have never forced me to do any Islamic rituals. My parents were not strict with me like that at all. I was living a very Western life. I was not expecting to have. I went to Mecca to make my mum and dad happy. I didn't go to Mecca. I didn't go to Mecca because I wanted to get back into Islam. I went to Mecca because it was en route a trip to Pakistan. So we went to Mecca to do Umrah, and then after that we went on a holiday to Pakistan. So I was spending a bit of time with my parents. I was, you know, I was a party girl. I was partying in Brighton. I was secular. I knew there was a God, but I did this trip to make my parents happy. But anyway, so I heard, I am Alpha, I am Omega, I'm the beginning and I am the end. And at that age, I knew what Alpha meant. I knew that it was the first letter of the Greek alphabet. At that age, I knew that. But I didn't know what Omega was. I knew what the beginning was and I knew what the end was. And even at that age, when I was hearing this in my head on the way to Mecca, I knew 100%, I knew that I was having an experience with something holy. And I knew straight away that this is not from Islam, and this is not from the Quran, and this is not Allah, because Allah only speaks Arabic. Allah only understands Arabic, and Allah only wants me to worship him in Arabic. And yet here I'm hearing, and I knew that this was, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was from another, it was not from this world. I knew that this is something special. I didn't understand, but I knew it was special. And I knew this is not Islam. This is not Allah. This is not Muhammad. This is not the Quran. This is something special, but I didn't know what it was. So that was age 23. My experience whilst in Saudi Arabia was not good. I saw children that had their hands and feet cut off. They'd been amputated, many of them sitting outside the mosque begging. I saw, all the time that I was there, we were doing all these rituals, and I'm asking my parents, why are we doing this? Why are we running between Safa and Marwa? Why are we going around? And my parents didn't know.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know the answer. Why are we doing this round and round 7 times? Explain to me.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know. They said, "Oh, this is what we do." I know it's what you do, but why are we doing this? Help me understand. I've got a curious mind. Help me understand. My parents didn't know, and I thought, wow, I can't rely on my parents because they don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know. We were running between Safa and Marwa. Why are we doing this? Oh, because in history, such and such. For me, I didn't experience anything holy there.
No.
It was ritual. It was all ritual. We do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. My heart wasn't changed. So that was age 23.
Tabassum, I have interviewed an Afghan brother that he went to the Mecca. He went to pilgrimage 6 times. He was so looking to find God, and his experience there absolutely horrendous. He said that the more I went, the further from God I became, and the people and they touch you there when you're doing the pilgrim. He said, even as a man, he said they touch you physically, and it's a very unholy, very, very unholy place.
Yeah.
And the culture, them, everything that they assumed, everything that they made up in their mind about a holy place and how holiness should be. And if I make it to Saudi from Afghanistan, from Iran, from Pakistan, if I just make it there, I would really get the whole experience of Islam. And they really do get that experience. It is absolutely horrendous. It is horrible. This is numerous people that they have gone, Muslims or non-Muslims. Many of the Shia Muslims from Iran, when they go to Mecca, after they come back, they say that's going to be our last time. These are Muslims because of the terrible experiences that they have there, the things that happens to them, the things that they see and hear there. And they change their pilgrim. The Shias change their pilgrims from Mecca to Karbala in Iraq, or the Mashhad, the northeast of Iran, or places like that, because they cannot believe that this is the most holy site in Islam, and it's the most unholy site. They cannot, grasp and digest the thought that why that environment, that place is just like that. So I really, I thank God I have never been there, but I had close friends that they have gone. My uncle went there many times, and I have heard them. So I really relate to what you're saying. There is no God there. At best, it is an idol. At best, it is idolatry. At best, that you throw doubts at Satan.
Yeah, and so
Crazy.
the Kaaba itself, I was very surprised at just how, if this really is the house of God, how ugly it was. Because literally it's massive breeze blocks covered with a velvet sheet. So velvet material covering a granite blocks. I mean, it's not beautiful at all. That Kaaba is. I got from it I found it very oppressive looking.
Mhm.
I
It
found
is.
it very scary. I found it scary looking. I did not look at that and think, oh, my creator lives here, you know? I didn't get that at all. And just outside the mosque, seeing the children that
Mhm.
were obviously kidnapped and made to beg for money.
Yeah.
Even at that age, I did think to myself, if this really is the house of God, how is this even possible?
Yep.
How is it even possible that these little innocent children, 6 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old,
Mhm.
with the hand cut off and the foot cut off, how is it even possible that a holy God who lives here would allow that to happen?
And
To
they have.
me, I could see right through it, but I obviously, my parents were like, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is," and then we went to Medina, where their prophet is buried, and I think
Self-claim.
by that time I'd switched off. I don't even have a memory of it. I don't
Mhm.
even have a memory of going to Medina because what I saw in Kaaba was enough.
Yeah.
Seeing Allah's house was enough. I switched off.
Wow. Wow. Of course, it's a self-claimed prophet. You know, when we use the term prophet, it's loosely used.
Yeah, self-claimed.
Yeah, he never was. He has no prophecies that was fulfilled. And about those children, you say it's a very common thing in Islamic world that these kids that are orphans, they're street kids. This evil people, absolutely evil, like pimps. They
Yeah.
kidnaps. They take them away, and then for them to be for them to emotionally manipulate the people, they cut their hands and their feet, make them amputate them. They make them paralyzed. Healthy kids, they make them paralyzed in order for them to beg. And at night, when their shift after 12, 14, 16 hours is over, they come pick them up, take the money, and just keep them alive for another day. Unfortunately, it's a very, very sad thing when you witness that.
And I
So,
challenged my parents. Because at that time my parents thought that I was straying away from Islam and I was leading a very Western life. And the whole purpose of the trip was for me to come back to Islam, to
mhm,
know that Islam is the truth. So I challenged my parents and I said, explain to me how this is possible. How is it possible in your most holiest
so,
site
yeah,
where your Allah lives?
yeah.
How is it possible where your Allah lives that these little innocent babies are being treated like this? And my parents didn't have an answer. And again, my dad would say to me, "You ask too many questions, you'll go mad.
Yeah, that's
You'll
it.
go mad. You ask too many questions. The books that you read will make you go mad.
Questions.
Don't ask questions."
So from Mecca, you go to Medina, but you're done with that experience.
I'd already checked out. What I saw in Makkah was enough. So we went to Medina and we were there for, I don't know, was it 4, 5 nights? I don't know. But by that time, I have no memory
Hmm.
of Medina. I think my brain switched off.
Yeah.
I have no memory of it. But
So
yeah.
instead of encourage you to be a Muslim or brings you to this beautiful, wonderful religion of Islam, it actually discourages you. Is that a fair question? Is that a fair evaluation?
Well, what it did for me was it made me question who is God. Because I knew there was a God, because even from a very young age, my
Hmm.
parents did a great thing for me when I was a child. They got me a cat.
Hmm.
I had a cat. Then I would look into the eyes of my cat and I would look at how beautiful this creature was and look at the eyes. And I even as a child, I knew that this creature is so perfect and so beautiful. Something bigger made me and something bigger made this cat. And the
Hmm.
cat has emotions. So I knew there was a God. I
Hmm.
was under no illusion. I knew there was a God, but I knew it wasn't Allah. Well, and my parents trying to prove to me that Allah is God, and my parents did a great job of disproving to me that Allah is not God.
Yeah.
I always knew there was a God. I just didn't know who or what God was.
But for sure wasn't Allah.
Sure wasn't Allah, because Allah only speaks Arabic, and I would have expected first time that I saw Kaaba to hear Kalma Sharif, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasul. I mean, had I heard that, you know, but I didn't. I heard, I am Alpha, I am Omega, I am the beginning, I am the end, over and over and over and over again, in English, in my head.
Yes, in a language that you're most comfortable in.
Yeah, completely.